You're in orbit with Launch Team 6352. I'm your host, Aditya, and today we are here with two special guests from the Argosy First Foundation. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Jacob Anderson. I've been with Argosy Foundation and Kickoff Capital for coming up on 4 years now. I'm based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
And I am Shirley Hamilton, and I am based in Birmingham, Alabama. And I have been working with the Argosy Foundation for 6 years now,
Nice,
and with the Kickoff Capital arm of the Argosy Foundation since its inception.
nice. So I think you guys touched on it a little bit, but let's just like set the place straight and talk about what the main goal of Argosy First is for someone who may not know anything about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, Argosy Foundation is a private family foundation. We're a national funder, so we do everything all across the spectrum. But the biggest thing that we do is robotics education, specifically FIRST robotics. Um, and that's naturally where Kickoff Capital, which we represented at First Championship in Houston just a month ago, and what we're here to talk about, and happy to share more about that.
Right. And to give you guys a little background, the whole reason this podcast is even happening is because I saw their booth at the first World Championship, and I think it's something very interesting because often, we're all focused on like robotics and technology and all these like technical aspects of things, right? But I think sometimes we don't see the depths of which we can go because sometimes the ideas that we can turn that into a business idea, and of course these all like logistical issues that come with that, which comes through funding as RBC versus intended to solve. So I think like for any of the viewers listening, if you guys are, inclined towards business in at least some sense, it's important to, seek out what the resources are out there. And now you know that Argosy Verse is one of them, at least for startup capital. All right. So another thing, now that you have like Argosy First and how it's helping these students, right? How do you actually reach out to them? Of course, you were there at the first championship, but is there any other way that you reach out to students or first alumni that may cause people to look out for?
Yeah, and just to like set the record straight about one thing. So we do a lot of work within the FIRST world. We're a big funder of FIRST, big supporter of FIRST, and for that reason, I think you've been referring to like the work that we're doing as Argosy First, because we do a lot of grants to different teams, and also regions and science museums that also are collaborating with FIRST. But Kickoff Capital is really what we were representing at the First Championships in Houston, which is, yeah, like you said, startup capital for business ideas, entrepreneurs that come from the FIRST community. You ask about what outreach that we're doing, and Houston is definitely a big part of that. Not only did we have a booth there where we were talking to students and mentors and other business partners for the entirety of the championship. We also had a seminar that we had that day where anybody was invited to learn more in-depth conversation about it. We've made posts about it on Chief Delphi. We've started looking into outreach on LinkedIn to first alumni groups. And we also just have a really great relationship with a lot of the PDPs. I'm trying to think exactly what that stands for, but regional partners that we have who have been able to do some outreach for us, and also those within the FIRST alumni relations team.
Okay, got it. And thank you for correcting me. I didn't even realize that I, messed that up, but it's okay. So you talked a lot about, how the outreach that you've done has helped out these students. Are there any ways that you plan to advance in the future in terms of course, like reaching more people, but are there any other like programs that you want to start or, maybe aim towards middle schoolers or younger ages?
Yeah, and also Shirley, feel free to answer any of these if you're so inclined. So Argosy Foundation does a lot of grants. We focus primarily on FRC as opposed to any of the other levels of FIRST, but a lot of the grants that we do specifically to regions and science museums often can be pretty broad. So they already are making a positive impact on a wide range of ages, including middle schoolers, and even younger. As far as Kickoff Capital goes, it is. We always say that if you even if you're in first right now, you are eligible to apply for Kickoff Capital to receive some startup capital for your growing brand new business idea. However, I really do see it as a avenue for maybe people who have already gone through the first program or a little bit more along in their robotics and software and coding and engineering careers to start their own business and make that as easy as possible. But we've been really impressed by other companies that maybe their product ideas originated in when they were in first Lego League. And we hope that people who maybe get that sort of knack for inventions and entrepreneurship at a young age will be aware of us and then be able to tap into our resources when they're older.
And I will add to perhaps clarify a little bit. The Argosy Foundation is a private family foundation, awards grants. And a lot of those grants, as Jacob said, go to first regions, specific first teams, the headquarters. Those are as grants to support the teams. However, Kickoff Capital is the investment arm of the Argosy Foundation. And whereas the foundation is making grant, Kickoff Capital is looking to invest. So you have to have a company, you have to have a business plan, you have to have your be registered as a business with the Secretary of State. The Kickoff Capital is specifically looking to invest in startup ideas from entrepreneurs, and that is at any level. And what we are, part of the outreach that we're doing is that we're really trying to get the word to the mentors, to the coaches, to the people who have the connections to the students, either current or past first robotics students who may have these brilliant entrepreneurial ideas. They have a startup company and they know what they want to do. What they lack is the funding. And that's where we would like to come in, is to analyze your idea and see if we think that it's marketable, if the world needs it, and do you have a good business plan? And that's where we'll step in and give the financial backing to help get your company either started or moving into the next phase. Getting whatever resources you may need, we'll help you with that, whether it's the marketing or the connections or information on how to tackle the shipping problem. We have money and we also have some resources that we can help bring to your idea to propel it forward.
Okay, got it. And I guess to supplement that, are there any like really successful startup ideas that you've funded in the past? I mean, I know like if I think of like Shark Tank, for example, right? They have many, billion-dollar businesses, like Scrub Daddy is one of them. But is there anything that like really stands out to you guys for something that's been successful that Kickoff Capital has invested in?
I mean, it is worth noting that we've only been around for a couple of years, so a lot of the investments that we've made are still very much in this sort of early phase. I mean, we're hoping that we have, to make a comparison to what you said, like a Scrub Daddy in our midst already. And I think that as a Shark Tank comparison, it is a good way for a lot of people to understand a lot of like what we do. We absolutely have companies, once we've already sort of learned about them, they are willing to present to us, give us like a pitch. And from there, we can kind of talk about what type of funding that they're looking for and how we can help them out. And with that, I'm really glad that you kind of clarified sort of the difference between Argosy Foundation and Kickoff Capital, Shirley. I did want to even go further and say that there's a lot of different startup investors out there, but there are none that are specific to people who have gone through the first program or are currently in the first program. And the awesome thing about it is that we're not as profit motivated as a lot of these other startup investors. So our mission is to support people are going through the first program. And if we do have a company that really takes off, and we really think that we have some promising companies in our current portfolio, if any of them does take off and we make a lot of money from it, all of that is just going to get cycled right back into supporting more first founded companies and teams and regions and headquarters and all of those things. It all gets cycled right back into it. It's not, we're not here for like selfish gain.
And I think that's how most companies should operate, for the greater good, I guess you would say. Are there any like qualities of first students? Obviously you say like you're first, very focus on first as a program itself, right? So let's say like for any viewers listening who maybe want to think about this in the future, what qualities of students that, or maybe alumni that you've seen go through the program, like what type of qualities do they have that maybe other people could take inspiration from?
Yeah, from the conversations that we've had before Kickoff Capital even launched, we talked to some people who were in this sort of venture startup capital space. And every time we mentioned to them like this idea of launching a fund that is only for people who've gone through the first program, there is always this sort of like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Like, I'm actually surprised nobody's done that already, because there's so many like first values, like sort of like a gracious professionalism, competition, and just having to like do fundraising for your own team, or there's so much independence that comes with doing the first program that naturally lends itself to becoming an entrepreneur. Once you've developed some of your own ideas and something that you want to run with. So we've been, I think I speak for everybody on the Kickoff Capital team, that we've been really impressed with the actual like candor and personalities and the character of all the founders that we've invested in so far, as being really gracious and easy to work with and happy to help in whatever way, and communicative.
Nice. And I think like I can speak for a student's perspective as well. Like I think a lot of us are interested in some of these ideas that we may have, just we don't really know like where to go from it, or we feel like there's this big barrier that we have to cross. But I think like funding and investment as Kickoff Capital kind of solves in that situation can make it a lot less stressful for the student themselves, because we're like just turning adults, like we're just entering the new world, right? So I think having that stepping stone next to us is kind of important to include as well. I think to conclude, what is some advice? Well, let's say there's like 3 pieces of advice that you would give to, let's say there's like an 18-year-old out there somewhere who's just finished the first program and is thinking about starting a business idea, but they don't know where to go. Like, what are some 3 pieces of advice you'd give? And that can come from each of you, or, one of you.
Yeah, and that's hard to, Shirley, looks like you got an idea.
You can speak to that. Some advice that I would give is you have to be able to tell your story and sell it to the business world. And we look at Kickoff Capital as a business venture. And if you have a fabulous idea, you have to be able to communicate that. You have to be able to put it in terms that a banker or an investor or a marketing person can understand. And if you don't have that person on your team, you need to find them. To get the idea from concept to market, to get someone to buy your idea, you got to sell it. And one thing that we look at, and we do have business experts who will analyze your idea, and they're going to ask questions such as, does the world need what you have invented? Does it already exist? If it does, why is yours better? Have you looked at the competition? Why are you trying to introduce this product, this idea, this hardware, this software? Have you done your research? Do you know that this idea is needed? And how are you doing it? Better, faster, quicker? What are your selling points? And we're going to approach your idea much the same way that a banker would. If you went in and asked them for money to help get your idea off the ground, you need to have thought through the business plan and uh, what are you going to do with your idea? And that is part of what we can help you with. The money, the financing is the main thing, but we also will ask you some of these hard questions and say, you need to get your idea organized so that it can, our goal is to help you take it to market.
Yeah, and to build off of that, I fully I think that's a really great point to make. That um, it's unfortunate when we see ideas that are really really promising, but they just aren't communicated as well, and then that's sort of the holdup for us. It's not that we don't think that an idea, a business idea, doesn't have potential to be successful, but I also think an indicator for future success, or a predictor of future success, is genuinely how well you're able to tell your story or communicate that your product, your business idea is going to be profitable, it's going to have a market, and also we understand that, as opposed to having it be kind of a black box behind a lot of engineering or software lingo. So yeah, I think that's really great advice. A piece of advice that came to my mind, which I kind of mentioned within the first like what characteristics we want to see within the first entrepreneurs that we invest in, is this idea of not being afraid to fail. I definitely think that there's a lot of self-sorting that goes on with stuff like this. You said that a lot of these students are, they're 18 and they have these ideas, but they don't know where to get started. They don't know, yeah, they don't really know how to get the ball rolling. And as a result, there's a sort of giving up. And maybe there's some imposter syndrome, like, oh, the people that are doing this type of work are so far out there, so far above me. But I really don't think that's the case. I think that in a worst case scenario, trying to launch an idea and make it a reality is an amazing learning opportunity, that even if it doesn't succeed, you're young, if you're just exiting the first program, and it gives you an opportunity to, maybe your first idea, you pivot your company. We've seen that. And then that pivot helps you be more successful. Or if your first idea isn't successful, in the process of that, you find another idea. And then because of the experience that you had while trying to launch your first idea, the second one becomes so much more successful, just logistically, and building a team and knowing how to manage and work through things, and legal and shipping and all of these different complicated things that do exist within this business space. But the only way to learn a lot of this stuff is by trying and failing. And it's the perfect like, the sooner you start doing that, the better.
The goals that we have, what we're trying to do with Kickoff Capital, our founder, he wants to see technology used to solve a problem, to address a problem. And if you do that, if you, through your entrepreneur skills, talent, trial and error, research, if you can say, here was a problem, here's a solution that uses technology, then you have something that the world needs. And I would say that if someone is interested in applying for Kickoff Capital funds, or finding out if you're eligible to apply for investment from Kickoff Capital, our website has a lot of information. It answers a lot of questions. There's an eligibility section. You do not have to be a graduate of college. You don't have to be a graduate of high school. We are not age-based. Our prerequisite is that you are an alum of FIRST, or you're involved with FIRST, and that may be as a mentor or a coach or as a student. But if you have an idea that is marketable, that the world needs, and you have a business plan, sounds to me like you're eligible. But all these questions will be answered. I would send people to www.kickoffcapital.org, and we have a very simple application on there, and some questions and answers. And I would encourage everybody to check us out and share the information with your friends.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right. Well, I appreciate both of your words of wisdom. I mean, I think it'll be very useful to both me and like anybody else who's listening. Thank you to the both of you, and have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank,
thank you for having us.
thank you.
And this was In Orbit with Launch Team Robotics.